here, right?
Is Mr. K here?
I think so. Yeah, I think I saw him. Yeah.
So it's exactly 7:05, 5 minutes past 7. Do I have the president's permission to start off the meeting?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
All right, thank you. So I welcome everybody to today's meeting. This is the second biannual meeting that we are holding in the year 2021. Uh, Fair enough with the new executive in place, and we have our agenda simply displayed out there. And jokingly, like I said, I don't want to shock us, but I want us to start on a note that is going to bring us all together to that country that is ours before Canada. So, on that note, we'll start off by reciting our national anthem. Woo!
That's
I believe without paying for tickets, I've taken everybody back to Moritala Mohammed Airport. Don't
uh,
worry, you can keep the ticket fee. I'll get that some other time. So thank you everyone for coming to today's meeting. Without taking much of our time, I will hand over to the president to present unto us his welcome address. Like I said, this is the first meeting to be coordinated by the new executive. We want to thank everybody for the support so far. And I hand over to the president right now for his welcome address.
hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to have you here. I will get quickly to my opening speech here. Welcome you, ladies and gentlemen of the Nigerian professionals in Manitoba, the executives and S official in attendance, and all our guests from the Canadian professionals community at large. My name is Abiodun Oke, a supply chain management professional, the founder of Sierra Project Services, and an instructor at the Red River College. And here is my opening speech as the newly elected chairperson of the Executive Board of the Nigerian Professionals in Manitoba. The Nigerian Professionals in Manitoba is a non-profit organization committed to the socio-economic and political empowerment of Nigerians and African descent professionals in general. Our vision is to empower and support our community towards sustainable growth, development, and prosperity. The strength of the people of Nigeria is undeniably its human resources, and our abundance of talent is witnessed in every corner and nook of the world. We take pride in this strength as a people of diverse culture who are creative, adventurous, and entrepreneurial. While the Asians are known for their excellence in science and technology, I make this bold claim that Nigerians are excellent in every area of their endeavors, especially in the creative arts and the management fields. Our community in the diaspora abounds with role models of global significance in academics, industry and trades, science and technology, arts, and the creative space. And we are renowned in North America as the most educated immigrants. For the sake of time, I won't be able to list all the role models that we have, even here in the diaspora. Well, these accomplishments are not without struggles and barriers. A common experience we share as Nigerians in diaspora as part of the visible minority communities in Manitoba. Having a university degree in Canada is generally associated with a higher employment rate and higher earnings, but as suggested by a recent Stats Canada study, the visible minority groups may face barriers related to accreditation of degrees, skilled mismatches, or discrimination. It appeared that these issues even became more pronounced with the COVID-19 pandemic. With the government's effort to lower the COVID-19 infections, businesses were shut, social distancing was enforced, and this led to job losses and financial challenges that further widens the economic gap between our communities and the rest of Canada. In the recent study by Stats Canada, titled A Labor Market Snapshot of Black Canadians during the pandemic, it was noted that Black Canadians of age group between 25 to 24 years of age were more likely to hold a bachelor's degree at 42 degrees higher than Canadians of the same age who were not a visible minority. The same study observed that Black Canadians in this core age group between 25 to 56-year old
Let me
with
die.
a university degree had a lower employment rate at 86% when
I pray. That's I wish. I
with
pray.
the 91% employment rate
I
of our
pray.
minority.
Oh, ma sọ sí ayé mi, ma.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, let's mute ourselves, please.
Okay. The same study has shown that our self-employed counterparts and entrepreneurs experience similar barriers in a group that is currently at 12% for men and 6% for women of the Black community in Canada. Individually, we perhaps may be doing great and have the perception that we are doing well as a community. But this study presents some hard data to support the struggles of the Black community, a group in which Nigerians have a large representation here in Manitoba. And as much as it's inspirational and pleasing to lounge in the achievements of Nigerian professionals in diaspora, we do reckon with our challenges here in Manitoba, as seen with the current state of affairs from the perspective of visible minority experience in Canada. As a new immigrant in Manitoba, you may have the following questions. If we do have this huge base of successful, diverse professionals and entrepreneurs across the industry in Manitoba, why do I struggle to get a job in my profession with 5 years of experience as compared with my colleagues from the non-visible minority group who seems to get help from their community? Or why do I lack mentorship or guidance on how to go about starting my own business? As a past PRO visiting settlement organizations, I've been told by our newcomers that they have never heard about the Nigerian professionals in Manitoba. Well, so I'd like to introduce you to the NPIM today. The Nigerian Professionals in Manitoba is a non-profit organization set up to specifically address these challenges that I've just mentioned at a community level, promoting cooperation among Nigerian professionals working in Manitoba, mentorship of new Nigerian professionals in Manitoba, collaboration between professionals in Nigeria and Canada for economic development. The current executive would like to appreciate the tireless effort of the past professionals and executives who have put this organization on a path of continuous growth with the little resources at their disposal. As a new executive board, we recognize the position that the Nigerian professionals in Manitoba occupy as a model of an organized community that puts the interests of its people first by fostering relationship across the larger Manitoba and Canadian professional community. We believe in the vision of the MPI, which highlights community, collaboration, and cooperation. And to this list, I would like to add the create and capacity element as the gears that operationalize the 5C strategy platform on which I propose that our new set of executives drive the MPIM vision. Ladies and gentlemen of the Nigerian professionals in Manitoba, the board executives and the ex-officio of the MPIM, we seek your support as we work on building up the MPIM as an enduring institution that the next generation of Nigerians in diaspora and Canadians will cite as an exemplary model of community development in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President, for the welcome address. Thank you for charging us on a new path in moving the Nigerian professionals forward. Quickly, my name is Bolanho Odonton. I missed that out at the start of the meeting, and I'm the secretary to the association. This afternoon, this evening, like the president has said, we'll be looking at career, why we as Nigerians, in spite of all our education back home, getting to Canada, having to go to school again, and acquiring more degree, why is it that some of us are having challenges in getting back into our profession? And also with the pandemic, what are the opportunities available to us as Nigerians and as professionals? So this evening, we'll be having a panelist discussion bordering around this. We have three panelists, as we may have been aware. We have Mr. Kayode Adeoja, we have Mr. Taiwo Luro, and we have Mrs. Florence Shufulue. To start the discussion, we'll be starting with Mr. Kayode Adeoja, who is a director with one of the organizations here in Manitoba. And before he makes his presentation, I want to call on the Assistant Financial Treasurer, Financial Secretary, Mrs. Yemisi Adetumbi, to give us a little background information about who Mr. Kayode Adeoja is. Over to you, Yemisi.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. It's lovely having everybody here. Thank you for making out time to join this event. So our first panelist that we'll be introducing today is Mr. Kayode Adeoja. He's an experienced entrepreneurial and commercial savvy HR professional with a stellar career spanning over 24 years across various industries, including technology, oil and gas, financial services, professional services, food and beverages, among others. He was at various times the HR manager, competency and career development manager at Nigerian Breweries PLC before joining Heineken International, Amsterdam, on expatriation as Global HR Talent Management Consultant in 2009. After 16 years, Kayode left Heineken in 2018 to join his family in Canada. Kayode is currently the Director, People Operations and Systems at Skip the Dishes Restaurant Services Incorporated, the largest food delivery network in Canada, and a subsidiary of JustEatTakeaway.com, a Dutch-owned global marketplace for online food delivery. Kayode completed an executive MSc in International Human Resource Management from Cranfield University, Cranfield School of Management, UK in 2012. Additionally, Kayode received a Master of Science degree in Managerial Psychology in 2002 and a Bachelor of Science in Political Science, both from the Premier University of Nigeria, the University of Ibadan. In 2020, Kayode received a rare listing and citation as one of the 501 Fabulous Global HR Leaders. Kayode Adeoja has been a nurturer of talents across 3 continents and a mentor to several youngsters to enhance their skills and contribution to the field of HR. is a thought leader in HR and a contributor to value. As part of his charity commitments, Kayode is a sponsor of World Vision Canada and a sponsor of Compassion in the Netherlands, impacting the lives and education of several children in Africa in partial fulfillment of his passion to positively impact others. Please join me to welcome Mr. Kayode Adeuja.
Hello, hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we
Yes, we
can.
can.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for that, Mrs. Adetumbi. Um, at some point, I was not sure if that was me being described, but thank you very much. It's a job well done. Um, as Mrs. Adetumbi said, I've been in Canada now for about almost 3 years, and I'm really honored to be invited to be on the panel this evening with Mrs. Shofolue and Mr. Taiwo. Um, and I've been attending the meetings for quite some time now, but this is the first time I'm going to be on the panel. And so please permit me if I appear like a first timer with some of the things I'm about to share. So for me, we're going to be talking about career and economic recovery today. This was quite challenging for me in terms of which angle do we go with this, and where do we take this? But I haven't spoken to Mr. Oke. He did share with me some of the thoughts around this, and I thought, well, one of the major things for people moving to Canada is that we're looking for greener pasture. We want a better life. We move here because there are opportunities, definitely. But unfortunately, last year we were all hit with this global pandemic, and things have since taken a different tone. Now, the story is different for different people. It's always a case when things like this happen that you will find that some people will benefit from it, and some people will be on the short side of the stick. You know, um, some organizations have been growing in leaps and bounds since the pandemic, and I'm sure you're all aware of the success of companies like Amazon, Zoom, and the rest of them, um, Tesla, to mention a few. And then if we bring it back home to Canada, I am fortunate to work in an industry that is actually thriving at the moment. And I think it's just being fortunate, and I'll tell a brief story about the company I work for. I used to work in the beverage industry, and then I remember when I told my colleagues back in Heineken that I was moving to Canada and I was going to be joining a food delivery business. My colleagues thought I was crazy. They thought I was totally insane, to leave an expatriation job. And for those who may understand expatriation, it comes with everything, you know. My last posting was in Nairobi, Kenya, where I know some people on this call lived also in Kenya, and you can attest to the fact that it's a beautiful country, and where you have a driver, you have a steward, you live in a good house, and you have all the life and all of those things. And then you come here, you have to do everything yourself, you know. And we leave a lot behind. So for everybody on this call, I'm sure we all left something behind to come. And then you come to this country, and then the opportunities they had told you was lying on the streets are not there. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because even for me transitioning in Canada, it took me 3 years to get into this role. Because when I left Heineken in 2015 and came to Canada to settle, I couldn't get a job in the first couple of months. And then Heineken called me back and said, well, we know you don't have anything yet. Come back to Africa if you want to. And they, put me in a role in East Africa as HR manager for the East African operation. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I took that job because there was nothing here at the time for me. And people were encouraging me to take lower level jobs compared to what I was used to. Now, it was a choice I had to make. Do I go and take a manager job when I have about over 20 years of experience, 9 years as an expatriate across different countries, worked in Amsterdam, worked in Sierra Leone, worked in Kenya, and then I'm in Canada now. I'm hearing all sort of things. But I did not accept what was thrown at me. Instead, the lemon that was thrown at me, I tried as much as possible to turn it into lemonade. And what do I mean by this? I had to back to Africa to go and get some kind of additional exposure. And, as God will have it, it was when I was in East Africa, after commuting back and forth for almost 2.5 years, that was when Skip the Dishes came calling. Now, Skip was already in existence. Somebody had told me about it, and I said, why would I want to go and join a local food delivery company when I work for a global company and all of that? And to fast forward, I joined the business 2018. When I joined, I actually literally set up the people operations and systems department, reporting to the chief of people. And there were about maybe 1,200 people at the time, and I had a team of 6 people. Now, fast forward to today, that business employs almost 4,000 people today in Winnipeg, Canada here. And I have 12 people on my team. The team has doubled. And why again am I saying this? I'm saying this because the growth we have seen in that business actually came in 2020. And why did that happen? It happened because all of a sudden there was a pandemic that required everybody to sit at home. And then what happened? Technology took the forefront of everything. Here were we in Manitoba employing the largest number of tech people. We have over 600 tech people working for us, and majority of them we usually bring in from all over the world, because the skills are not readily available here. Now, the skills are not readily available here means that depending on which line you're in, you need to start positioning yourself for the future. Some jobs are definitely going to become obsolete, and we can talk about that in more detail later. But last year alone, because we're in a tech business and people were asked to stay at home, restaurants could no longer open. Restaurants who ab initio did not want to do business with us came crawling to us that they needed our business, and it's because of businesses like ours that they are actually surviving today. Now, plans that we had for the next 2-3 years have already been realized, because one of the plans we had was that we want to also be able to deliver groceries. The moment the pandemic started, grocery stores were reaching out to us to do this, and that's now being done. This was something that was meant to be done in the next 3 years. Another thing that was meant to be done was people were craving for alcohol delivery, but the Canadian government was being very, very reluctant to do it because of the age checks and things like that. Now we're delivering alcohol, and everything was fast-tracked. Last year alone, my team handles onboarding, people joining the business. We onboarded over 1,000, almost 2,000 people last year. 2,000 people. That is serious mass employment, and it is still growing by the day. And now the company I joined, which was a Canadian company in 2018, was bought over by a British company called JustEatTakeaway.com. Now, JustEatTakeaway.com was bought last year by Just Eat was bought by Takeaway, a Dutch company. So it's now a joint company called JustEatTakeaway.com. So we're now a global company. Skip is part of a global company that operates in 23 countries across the world with over 10,000 employees everywhere. Now, again, this is all about career. It is about positioning. It's about the industry you find yourself. It is about the skills that we will talk about later. There's certain skills we need to have. We're now in Canada, we need to position ourselves. Top on the list for all of us here is networking. How do we make sure that we connect with each other to pull each other up? I have a motto that says, each one help one. If all of us can help one person, we will change lives. And I know, I mean, I have quite a number of people that I try to guide, prepare for interviews and things like that. And I have a lot of stories to tell around that and how people can prepare. I don't know if this has addressed what you want, Mr. Okay, but I hope this really does help, everyone listening. Thank you.
Much, Mr. Adeoja, for that beautiful presentation. I know that questions will definitely be thrown at you. Each one help one. Even if I can't remember all, I'm taking that each of us can help one person. And we have also seen how you've moved those challenges. It's not that you just came and you got the position that you have right now. So for many of us that are on the platform today, it's an avenue for us to also understand that as we are helping one another, we have to go through that ladder a step at a time. On that note, I'll be calling on the second panelist discussant, Mrs. Florence Shofolue. And before she makes her presentation, we will want to know a little bit about her. And I want Mrs. Adetunbi to reel out a little bit about her biography so that we can get more acquainted with who Florence Shofolue is. Over to you, Yancy.
Yes. Sorry, thank you. Our second panelist is Mrs. Florence Shofolue. She's a certified talent management practitioner who moved to Winnipeg 5 years ago. She has her master's in industrial and labor relations and moved to Canada as a student of the University of Winnipeg, PACE, a one-year accelerated HR program to gain more practical skills in HR. And that was how her journey in talent management began. Florence currently works in the health industry as a talent acquisition specialist. She uses the art of storytelling and tips to drive home her points when it comes to working integration. She contributes to the community by volunteering in outreach tasks. She enjoys helping and mentoring students and newcomers in Winnipeg to build a professional network and empower them with tools to allow them to settle successfully in their chosen careers. Like our topic here tonight is, it says, ask our HR or career experts. Please just note your questions. You can type it in the chat. And kindly join me to welcome Mrs. Florence Shofolue.
Thank you so much, Yamisi. Thanks, everyone. I'm really privileged to be a part of the discussion tonight. And unlike Kayode, I've done a presentation that I would like to share. I'm quite passionate about supporting newcomers, as a lot of people would know. So I'll be sharing my slide today. Just give me a second while I do that. And let me know if you can see my slide.
Yes, yes, I can. Yeah, it's up.
Great. Yes. Okay. Thanks, everyone. So today I'll be talking about career, the economic recovery with a focus on newcomers and giving tips on how you can navigate your career, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. So as we all know, immigrating into a new country can be a life-altering experience. For most people, it comes with a lot of challenge, trying to adapt into a new environment, getting to know about the work culture and how you can actually navigate, your career through it. I came to Canada 5 years ago, and some of the things or the challenges that I had was how to get adequate information, how to get resources, how to show my credibility, and how to get people to trust me that I knew what I was capable of doing. So I struggled a little bit with that. And over time, with mentorship, with coaching, with volunteering, I was able to integrate into the workplace. I'm still learning because it's always going to be a learning process for a lot of us. So tonight, I just want to share some of the tips that I have and also show trends in what is going on, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, and tell you different ways that you'll be able to adapt and navigate your career, especially in this time. Some of the things have been shared by Kayode, so there's what it is what is going on. And I'll share what I have with you today, and I'm hoping that someone would gain from this tonight. Thank you. So today we're talking about your career. We are responsible for our own career. What we want to make out of our career is totally our responsibility. How we want to position ourselves to organizations so that they can know our value proposition, which is why should they hire us? It will be entirely up to us to find that next job. So what are the tips or what are the things that we need to know in order for us to navigate our career? These are some of the things that I would be talking about in the next few slides. So what are the new trends that is going on right now? We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted us, especially our work life. It's continued to change our work life, our personal lives, and a lot of things have changed about the way we do things. So there's some new trends that are now taking place, and anyone that is looking for a job needs to be aware about these new trends. So the first one is that we have remote first organizations. These are organizations that have positioned themselves in a way to make remote work the first option for a lot of people that are working. So you need to know, for instance, if your work life or your family dynamics would not permit you to keep working in the office, then you might start looking for organizations that term themselves as a remote first organization, because they give you that first option to work remotely. And if they have an hybrid work style, then you can actually work in the office as well. But the first option is to work remotely. So a lot of hiring is being done remotely now. We have the virtual recruiting, virtual interviews, our online assessments and tools. The screening tools are now virtual as well. When we're onboarding candidates and doing orientation, we've taken it online. In terms of interview events and career fairs, everything is now being done online. It's faster. It pays the employers, the candidates too, because they can have to do their interviews from the comfort of their own homes. And distributive work is another trend in the sense that the work is gradually easing the geographical barriers. We're having other organizations from different provinces, from different countries, hiring people from Canada. So you should know about this, that there's a chance that you can actually be in Manitoba and be working for an organization in the UK, or working for an organization in Saskatchewan, and you're here working. So there's that distributive work. In terms of internal mobility and transferable talent, this is also something that we're seeing a lot that is going on. So let's say as a newcomer, you get a job. It might not be what you really want, but you get that first job. But because you have transferable skills that would enable you get a higher position or a better job, a lot of organizations, because of the hard to fill roles that they have, they're looking internally to how they can help their own staff. It's good for the candidates or the staff's career progress or the career growth. And at the end of the day, the organization is saving costs. That person already knows the culture of the organization. So when they are working, they're already working in the organization, they know the culture, they know the people very well, and with adequate training and learning, they're able to go into a new position. So we're seeing a lot of internal mobility taking place now. Another trend that I've noticed that I want to share with everyone today is the returnship opportunities. So what does returnship opportunity mean? It's that there's some people that have been out of work for a while due to different reasons. It could be because the child, let's say they were pregnant, it could be due to parenting, it could be due to caregiving, illness, or even early retirement. There's some organizations now that are taking back people that have been off job for a while and giving them the opportunity to continue to work. So we're seeing it in banks, in tech companies. They have a returnship opportunity. So if that's something that is of interest to you, maybe you've been out of job in your particular field for a number of years, there's an opportunity for you to start all over, because there's some organizations that are offering a returnship opportunity. Also, with social recruiting, employers are trying to get people while they're on the go. So we have people that are now recruiting on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, even through texting. People are sending interview messages to their candidates through text. So you just have to be up to date with the skills that they need and where these things are happening. So it's not just enough to just go to a career site to look at the opportunities. There are lots of different places where you can see opportunities that are open to you. So like I said, I struggled with getting information, but right now the information is out there. Once you are networking with the right people, you know where to get information, you'll be well positioned to getting the job that you require. So talking about networking, the networking tool, they've gone virtual. As a newcomer or somebody that is seeking a career change or seeking to get a position or a job, you can actually ask industry leaders or industry professionals to have an informational interview with them. And what this means is that you just want to know about the organization, you want to ask for advice. A lot of people are open to doing informational interviews, and this time around it's just virtual. So that's a great way to start your networking, or even asking for a virtual coffee chat. Those are some of the ways that you can start your networking. So talking about tips for newcomers, I would like you to consider the following. Try to understand what skills are being sought at this time. In this particular period, employers are looking for candidates that have got great communication skills, people that are flexible, people that are adaptable, people that have the resilience skills, people that are creative, that can think outside the box, and especially people that are technologically savvy, because a lot of things that we're doing now is all using technology. So that's how we build the super teams, is the people plus the technology that we have. And as the other person said, Kayode said, he mentioned about promising industries. So I would agree with him, because there are some industry right now that are very promising. So talk about the tech organizations, corporate services, e-commerce, healthcare. Those are promising industries. So if you're looking for a job right now, those might be some of the companies that you can consider. And because we all know that there are some companies that, or industries, excuse me, that have been really impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, like the transportation, aerospace, leisure. This might not be a great time, if you're currently searching to go into that. Also think about the work culture as well, and ensure that it aligns to your values. We have a lot of resources out there in Manitoba. So we have government approved employment liaison offices. We have the virtual events that you can attend. And it's very important that you get a mentor, a coach, or a sponsor. These are people that, especially with the mentor, they have more experience. They're able to guide you as you navigate your way through your career. I've had to invest in having a mentor, a coach, and also a sponsor during the 5 years that I've been here in Canada. So for work integration for newcomers, as you know, the work culture is very different back home from Canada. So you have to be open to learn, unlearn, and evolve. So for me, I usually say is the best from both worlds. I take what is best from Nigeria and what I like here, and I merge it together so that I'm still bringing my full self, my authentic self to work every day. So you just need to be aware of the unwritten rules in the organization where you work. And I've listed different skills that you might have to think about, that you need to have, how to build your credibility, how to be confident, assertive. You need to always build your relationship skills, because when you start work, usually it's your performance that would get you the job, but it's your relationship that you have, the way you build your relationship with your team members and your senior leaders. That is what will make you move up the ladder. So relationship building in any organization is very, very important. So there are places where you can search for jobs. I've put here different platforms and websites. We have the LinkedIn, which is very important. A lot of recruiters are on LinkedIn. So it's a great platform for you to network. Always ensure that your LinkedIn is updated. You have the right location there, not Nigeria, it should be Canada. And your LinkedIn should always show the best version of yourself. I call it a conversation starter, because that's where conversation starts. So always ensure that you're connecting with the right people in your field, people that you'll be able to gain from. Just make sure that you're very visible. You're liking people's posts, you're commenting. All those things are the things that would get you noticed. I listed the Indeed, of course. Then with Glassdoor, I particularly like Glassdoor because I'm able to see reviews of other organizations to know what the culture is, how the employees, how they like the work over there. And also when you're looking for salaries, like to get information on salaries for an organization that you're going in for an interview, Glassdoor is a go-to. So you can also check on the company's websites, of course, the social recruiting sites, Google for Jobs, ZipRecruiter, Workopolis, and Monster. Those are some of the job search platforms that you can go. So I don't know if I know everybody's like a buzzword, everybody's hearing about upskilling. Why do you think it's important? I believe that it's just because of the digital transformation. That is what is making upskilling a very important part of what we do. So it's the ability to learn new things, because it would help you in your current role and when you're moving out to getting another job. So upskilling and reskilling is a very important part of your growth and your career. So you should always have this reminder that you need to keep learning. Ensure that you're training yourself to equip yourself with as much knowledge as possible. So for me, I've listed different places that I go to, like the LinkedIn Learning. I take free courses and webinars online. You don't have to pay for them. Go to relevant blogs that are related to your field. Listen to TED Talks. There's Coursera courses that you can be a part of. There's Udacity, and there is podcast for careers. And people, job searches, there's even one that is new that I started listening to last week, The Curious Recruiter. So you can just go there and, use your Spotify and listen. It could be doing your exercises or whatever you're doing. It's just a podcast. You just listen and you gain a lot, from listening to all these podcasts related to your career. So I have here some virtual events that are coming up in April and May for people that are interested. There is a resume and LinkedIn profile to make you stand out by LinkedIn Guide. LinkedIn Guide is taking place on May 12th. There's also another wellness mindset to your job search. When you're looking for a job, it can be draining. You need to have a right mindset. So this might be a good virtual event for you to attend if you're currently looking. There's also the Financial Inclusion Summit and Virtual Job Fair taking place May 3rd. And there's an advanced Microsoft Teams webinar. I would be attending this particular one just to equip myself with more knowledge on how to use the Microsoft Teams, because this is what I use at work. So before I go, I just want to leave you with these 5 things. I believe that they are the basis of how you can navigate your career here in Canada. The first one is that you need to network. If you don't have the right experience, try to volunteer. Make sure that you're working on your personal brand. That's how people perceive you. There should not be a gap. So you have to make sure that you are positioning yourself the right way. Always work on your brand. Your skills and competencies that you need for a particular job is very important, and that's where upskilling comes in. You need to always improve on your skills and your competencies. And never forget your personal development. Look for different ways that you can continue to improve yourself. If you have to take certifications, please, by all means, do so. There are free webinars, there are free courses that you can also listen to, that you can get certification for. And make sure you have a mentor. Invest in yourself, invest in your career, get a mentor, get a coach if you need. And if you're already working, make sure you identify somebody that can speak on your behalf, because when decisions are being taken about you, you're not there in the room. So you need somebody to advocate for you. And this is my own career mantra. The first one is to believe in yourself and you'll be unstoppable. The second one is where my talents cannot go, I allow my passion to do the work for me. The third is that I've learned to live above the noise. I don't like to hear negative things. I just want positive vibes all the time to hype myself. And always bring in your best attitude. That's your BYBA. All the time, show the best version of yourself. And lastly, be deliberate about your goals and your success. Thank you so much for having me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Florence Folue, for that wonderful presentation. Well informative. I'll just want to quickly plead with you that before the end of the session, it would be nice if you could share with us those job fairs and seminars so that we can disseminate that to members. Perhaps we have one or two people that could make good use of such opportunities. And your performance gets you the job, but your relationship takes you up the ladder. There is a stop point that many of us as newcomers have been through. Even before arriving, we've heard about it. And today we want to hear from them what the government has in stock for us as newcomers. Without taking much of our time, we have somebody here that works with that organization. I want Ms. Yemisi Adetumbi to introduce to us Mr. Taiwo Loro.
Yeah, thank you very much. Our third panelist tonight is Mr. Olawale Taiwo. He's passionate about supporting newcomers to reach occupational success across Manitoba's highly competitive and diverse workspaces. Outside Manitoba Starts, Taiwo teaches resume writing and job search techniques at the University of Winnipeg PACE program. Please join me and welcome Mr. Olawale Taiwo.
Evening. I would like to begin by thanking the Nigerian professionals in Manitoba group for inviting me to share some insights at this event. I think that in the last 2 weeks or thereabout, my LinkedIn hits have gone up some 40%, courtesy of this invitation, which is a good thing. I have seen and made some remarkable connections as a result as well. So thank you for doing that. I'm not an HR professional, as you know, so I will take a different perspective from Coyote and Florence. What I do essentially is provide labor market advice and occupational decision-making resources for the clients that we work with. I want to say that the opinions that I'll be sharing does not represent those of Manitoba staff, but it does represent, of course, my experiences, professional experiences working with clients over the past 5.5 years. So if we take a quick perspective from the federal spending budget that was announced about a fortnight now, we will see that the Liberal government is proposing over 101 billion Canadian dollars for pandemic recovery spending. And this is huge to talk about, because when we look at these figures in themselves, it tells us something about, what the labor market is going to look like in reality as we come out of this recovery. So we see that the government plans a $30 billion investment into childcare. We see that the pandemic spending is going to heavily involve real investments into health sector, home care resources, hospitals, and all of those ancillary services. There's another $100 million that will go into mental health support and recovery. And you will all agree with me, working at home is very challenging. In the last 2 weeks, I've had my kids sent home to me to work with me while they also learn at the same time. It's mentally draining. So we begin to see heavy investments in this area for mental health recovery efforts. Um, and again, that's at the federal level. Now, when we come back to Manitoba, there is a consolidated effort between the province and the federal government to spend another 47 million over a space of 3 years for creating childcare spaces for people who are in critical service employment. Now, the reason I try to look at some of these figures is that it tells us where the jobs for the nearest future, as we begin to recover from the pandemics, where the job will be. And in addition to that, one of the things we need to look at is, and I think Kayode highlighted it is in his presentation, is are we ready for the change that is coming? Because that is, how we really get to leverage on our careers. So when we look at spending in healthcare, in childcare, when we look at online retail, we look at technology services, we look at all of the activities along the food value chain. There are significant changes right now that are happening within, that economic sector. So it tells us that there is a shift, in terms of where our skills and experiences should be, the kind of learning and programs we should be engaging in, and what the jobs for the future will be. 2 years ago, the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, as an example, pursuant to this strategy, said, we had a huge supply of nurses in Manitoba, 2 or 3 years, I believe. And then they took the nursing occupation off of the in-demand occupation in Canada. Fast track 3 years into the future. Nursing, physicians, healthcare, personal support worker, home care support workers are top on priority for recruitment for the government. In fact, as a matter of strategy, they have included recruitment for personal support workers, for international students to transition into the workforce, which shows a clear demand for all of these occupational areas. So I think that where the spending goes is really where the next set of opportunities will be in. We can do well for ourselves if we quickly adapt to those opportunities that are available within the online market. To look at the change, the drastic change that we have seen in e-commerce recently. And I was looking at a report also from the City of Winnipeg Finance Committee. If we look back locally to look at what's happening within our city and all around us, we will see that, as a result of the pandemic, the food services and restaurants have been worse hit. And then you can talk about hospitality services where nobody feels comfortable, to use hotel services. Travel is restricted, aviation supplies is restricted. Community service, things like our swimming pools, Assiniboine Conservancy, as an example, all of those large-scale community services are underutilized if they are not utilized at all. But what does this mean for us? Many of us are going to be in these sectors that have all of a sudden become redundant as a result of the pandemic hitting on all of these sectors. Our only way to get out of this is now to quickly adapt and look at what are the opportunities for the future and how can we tap in. So I want to borrow a point from Florence that says, we need to upskill, we need to reskill. And it's funny when we talk about these things because, an average Nigerian newcomer already comes in with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. I work with people who have PhDs already. It's very difficult to have these conversations. To say, although you bring in a PhD from the UK or Nigeria, you need to go back to school and take additional courses. These are difficult conversations to have. But I think that in the present scheme of things, we need to look at those add-ons to what we already have. This is the way I describe it. We already have built for ourselves the cake that we need to have the big party. Now we need to think about the icing on that cake to make our party really, really juicy and sweet. So that's where our upskilling and the reskilling comes in. What are those additional skills and technologies that I need to up my game? So as an example, if you're a 50-year-old career changer and you think that technology is just for that your 18 or 17-year-old son getting into college or university, you are kidding. Because right now, conferencing skills using things as simple as Zoom, Skype, and the rest of them has become a basic skill for any employment, for any employee in the workplace. Adaptability is solid. It's a solid skill that, we continue to build on. And when you look at, I foresee a heavy outpouring of emotions at the end of this pandemic as a result of job losses, domestic issues, and all of the vices that will come. So we see heavy investment in social services to provide mental health support. And all of these changes are drastic, not only within the Nigerian community, but within the broader landscape. We see a lot of need in these areas. So, we come with a lot of skills, we come with a lot of education. My only caveat, I'm not sure the best way to put this conversation, but I'll try to be as upfront as possible. A lot of us within our cultural context, we have all of these heavy educational accomplishments that we bring, and this is what comes up front in our conversations during our networking events, during our conversations with HR people. So the first thing we talk about is, we're very proud of our master's degrees, our PhDs, our double masters, etc. We are working and living, and we've built a career life in a market that is very academic education oriented. And I'll give you a quick example. One of the jobs that I did in Nigeria required a master's degree to be a sales manager at Nestle. And I did that job for quite some time before I came. Master's degree education was a definite plus. And so while I was coming to Canada, my original intention was to work for Nestle because Nestle was a great company. And so the first Nestle job that I was going to see for regional sales manager in Winnipeg, the requirement for that job position was a high school diploma. And I'm like, wow, I got this. High school diploma, I have a bachelor's, I have a master's degree, I'm going to kill it. So I put together my resume, put in my bachelor's, put in my master's degree, and put in all of those beautiful sales concepts that they talk about in the West African market. That was in 2013. They haven't called me yet for the interview. Maybe they still will. So the reality though is that we have lived and worked and grown in a market that is heavy on academic qualifications and accomplishments. Now we have to translate that into a market that is very skill oriented. So essentially you're looking at what are the functional skills for your everyday operations on the job. How have you collected these skills? Highlight these skills as much as possible. And let's not focus too much on the education. I think as a function of the environment that we have lived in, we are quite very adaptable. I was joking with my colleague who was living and going to the University of Manitoba, and I said, hey, what are we going to do without you in this organization? And this is true. Here's what she tells me. She says, Taiwo, are you not a Nigerian? You guys are very resilient. Don't worry, you'll be fine. And I think we have it in us. We have that resilience, and that is how we pull through from, Kayode saying, I've been vice president for many regional international organizations, and now I have to effectively transition and work my way through this new system. It's that resilience, that adaptation that is helping us to pull through. And I think this is our strength. This is what we should continue to work on to get to where we want to get to. Here's how I'm going to close. I have a very informal plan for this program. I'll be open to questions. Here's what I'm going to close. We have a lot of sweet talk with mentorship, and I think that this is where we have a gap. This is where we all need to work on as a community. And for those of us who have been here for a longer time, I think we have more responsibilities with those who are coming from behind. And I say this from experience all the time. I have somebody who comes in with 10 years of experience in GTB, and I say, you're going to do great. Can we consider, financial? Are you thinking about financial services? You can easily get a banking advisor job. Do your Canadian securities, do your investment funds in Canada, etc. You will do great. That's a conversation on Monday. And then he comes back to me on Wednesday to say, hey, Taiwo, I want to do a resume for home care. And I'm like, oh, really? So what's changed in our conversation? And then he or she says, the person that I'm staying with, my auntie, my brother, they said I can easily get a job in home care. So this person is moving from a 60,000, 50,000 job to a 30,000 job because of that cultural pressure that we sometimes put on them, and we undermine some of these skills. So let's put our investments where our mouth is, and let's continue to provide that support that we have. I think we have a strong community. We have resilient, talented people, and we can do more than we are currently doing. Let me leave it here for questions. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very, 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 very much, Mr. Taiwo, for that presentation. Thank you so much. Because of our time, we are behind schedule. I'll just quickly move on to the question session. If we have questions, please let's drop them in the chat room so that we can read them out. I have one question already, and this question, I will be putting it through to Florence, because she's gone through the University of Manitoba. The question says, I completed a postgraduate from PACE in HR, which also comes with a management certificate from the University in Winnipeg. I am transitioning from marketing in a financial space to HR with relatable skills. What will be the best steps to take to break into the Canadian labor market, as we did not have the opportunity to partake in the co-op due to the COVID-19?
All right. Thank you so much, Bolan, for that question. So to the PACE alumni, I went to the University of Winnipeg, not Manitoba. So I just want to say that you've done well. That particular program that you're talking about is one of, I'll say, the most stressful parts, but it's always worth it at the end when you're done with the program. So the first thing you've done is to have chosen a good course in a good school. So to answer your question, there are lots of ways that you can approach this. I would say different ways. It will depend on you, which one you think is best, and you can actually apply all and see which one would work best. The fact that you didn't go through the co-op, that's the internship component that the school had. Yeah, it's sad, but there's still hope for you to get into your career. Because it was that particular internship that got me my own first job here in Manitoba. But there are other things that you can do. The first thing is that you can volunteer in an HR capacity. If you go online, there are lots of HR volunteer positions that are out there right now. And sometimes, let me not say most of the time, sometimes they can turn out to be a real job. I've had somebody that did an HR volunteer in one of the hospitals here, and today she works there as an HR assistant. So sometimes it can work like that for you. That can be one opportunity if you have the capacity to do so. You can also apply, just go ahead and apply for different HR positions. You never know. the companies might be interested in what you have, as long as you're positioning your resume to show that it's speaking to what the organization needs. You're stating your accomplishments, you're stating your skills that you have. You can just go ahead and apply. What's the worst thing that can happen? It's either they're saying no or they're calling you for an interview. Being a PACE graduate, I do know that the university allows you to have a mentorship program with CPHR as a CPHR candidate. So you can explore that as well. There'll be a next, I think the particular one they have now just closed. So there'll be another one that is opening soon. You can explore that, have a mentor. We have success stories of people that their mentors, they've helped to get a job. So you can explore that as well. Another thing that you can do is that continue to network. Be very visible on LinkedIn. Talk to follow recruiters, comment on their posts, let them notice you, ask for advice. And at the end of the day, you never know, something good can come out of that. So just try the different things that I've said, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Florence, for that response. Experience, they say, is the best teacher. We have another question here. This is for Mr. Taiwo. And the question says, with the COVID out now, what is Manitoba stats? I know you are not here to represent Manitoba stats, but we just want to quickly tap from your experience and that body of knowledge. What is Manitoba stats doing to help newcomers to transition, considering the present situation of work from home?
Okay, thank you for that question. I want to say that during my comment, one of the things that I highlighted was just trying to re-echo some of the sentiments that Kayode had offered. We need to be ready for change. The COVID situation hit us at a time that we were unprepared. And I used to work in a different role, but we saw a need now for us. Our programs were literally shut down because we didn't have a means. We were not prepared for what was coming, essentially. So what we have done is that we have, following the impact of COVID, we have been able to find a very creative way of serving our customers. So did I say customers? Permit me to use the word clients. Now I feel like I feel like okay. So we have found a very novel way of serving our clients. So instead of our in-person services and our one-on-one services that we will provide during in-person consultations, we have moved, like many organizations, into online service delivery. We have a wonderful system, which is a project that I'm proud to be working on. So what we are doing essentially is we are creating an online learning system where we can house some of our curriculum materials, and we can be able to provide that access to our clients to access the learning that they require from home without, essentially coming down to the office. All of our directed coaching meetings are now completely done virtually. So what that means is once you register for services at Manitoba Star, you get an appointment to meet with a coach virtually to discuss your occupational goals and your career plans. Your coach goes over your resume, provides feedback, shares occupational resources for job search and networking with you, and then connects you with our job board for potential opportunities that might be available. So what we are doing essentially is just transition that service from in-person to virtual. So what that means is, our new clients can now call into our intake services department and register for services and access that service from the comfort of their home. And for the first time, we have seen people coming in from Winkler, from Steinbach, and from other locations accessing this service, which were things we were not, prepared for. These were things we didn't know we were able to do. because we left these services to the regional organizations. But now we can remote into them through the programs that we have. They can take their self-directed learning, connect with their coach on the conferencing meeting, and then have all of those services. So I want to say that we have quickly adapted through the COVID situation, and our services continue to be available for whoever might need them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo. Good to know that now Manitoba starts, even though you are seated in Winnipeg, people outside Winnipeg can access your services. So to every challenge, there's always an opportunity. Yeah, I go to the next question. Not really a question here, though we do not have any of our panelists as an engineer, but we have someone on the on the platform this evening. This is someone that studied engineering and has over 14 years experience and is willing to know the best way to go about licensing. So I want to implore those of us that are here that are engineers, please feel free to drop your contacts so that we can link you together with this person so that you can at least each one help one.
I can share a quick comment if you want.
Okay, sure.
So depending on your engineering specialization, I think that's the first thing you want to look at. The engineering process is probably going to take you about 2 or 3 years, depending on your personal preparedness and commitment to the process. But when you go home, go to egm.ca or just type into your Google Engineers Geoscientists Manitoba. They are the regulator for the engineering occupation in Manitoba. Now, the process is a little bit quite straightforward. I might not be able to give you all the detail, but you will be required to complete a West ICAP assessment. What that is you pay $250 to West. I'm not sure if that has changed, if that has increased or not, but I think about $250 for West ICAP assessment. And that ICAP assessment is a course-by-course assessment of your international education credentials. Once you have paid for that ICAP assessment, you will submit your application for review with the province, with EGM, which is Engineers Geoscientists Manitoba. Now they will review your application and you get I think you have about 5 options. The first option is you have over 10 years of examination. You can go into a challenge program, or you can register for something called the IEEQ, Internationally Educated Engineers Qualifying Program at the University of Winnipeg to complete like a gap training. That training is probably going to cost you somewhere around $8,000. At the end of this process, then you will get something called an EIT, which is an Engineer in Training designation. So once you get your EIT, you will be required to complete 6 months of supervised engineering experience and then also complete the ABC test. The ABC test is just the acts, bylaws, and codes, just to be sure you are you are very abreast with the codes for building and all of these construction activities. And all of that information is there for you. If you want to visit the EGM website, you will find when you hit the EGM website, look on the top tabs, you will see something that says internationally educated professionals, and then there is a flow chart that outlines the process for you to get your license. But here is the thing: while you're spending those 2 or 3 years on this process, you are creating a significant gap on your resume. So think about what you can do between this space of time that is very transitional to your future goal of becoming an engineer. Don't look for a Walmart job or a home care job. You can easily get those jobs, but look for something that helps you collect experience that is relevant to your long-term goals. So maybe something like a mechanical technician, an alarms and security technician if you're electronic, something along those lines that your experience covers and that you can build on your resume as you look forward into the future. Thanks. I hope that's helpful in some way.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo. And we have just 1 more minute. And for the question session, but I have two questions that I would want us to quickly trash. One you have hinted on, that is the question. Yeah, thanks to the member that joined from Ontario. It's good to know that we have members joining even from Ontario. And this person is in the financial industry and is planning to transition into a new field. So his question was, what are the top skills required for change? You have mentioned some. I will want to leave you to mention more after I put this last question to you. And the last question is, someone says he or she did accounting back home and wants to ask if there's a place to do a refresher or start course on accounting, or is it limited to volunteering? So I believe you can speak to these two questions, and that will wrap up the question and answer session for the evening. Thank you. The first question is, what are the required skills, necessary skills to transition from the financial industry to other field? Just basically transition skills. And the second question is, what are the opportunities available to someone that wants to move into the accounting profession?
Who do you want to speak?
Okay.
Let's
I
Kay
leave you to
speak.
go ahead with
Carry
that. Go ahead,
let
Nick.
Carry
Okay,
speak.
so let's talk about financial. I think it depends on what you have done and where you want your career to take you. So if somebody has done investment banking as an example, this is not the everyday banking and the transactional banking that we know. So maybe you want to look at something that puts you back into investment banking, and that's possible. So I will recommend to look at something like the investment fund certification that allows you to do investment banking. Where you're looking at that, you can just get a foot in the door, get a customer service position to help you understand the process in Canada. But if you have done everyday banking, customer service manager, supervisor, retail banking, and whatever you have done, an option to look at might be banking advisor type of positions, where you now provide advice on financial investments, mortgages, and those kind of everyday transactional banking that that your customers might want. My go-to resource for banking and financial professionals is just to go look at the IFC. It's a 500, 600 examination that puts you on the hotspot for the financial institutions. So if you go to investment funds, if you go to CSI, which is Canadian Securities Institute, you will get the option to look at the investment funds in Canada certificate. There's two certifications. I can't pick the name of the second one. Now review the two certifications and see which ones might be more tailored towards your international experience and what direction you want to go. Or again, you can look at, it depends on what you have done. If you have done customer service, then you can look for customer service, call center, financial, RBC, Scotiabank. They have a lot of those positions all the time. And of course, from your advisory position or from your mutual funds position, you can work your way up towards becoming a branch manager in the future. For the accounting graduate, again, accounting is a regulated occupation. I think, and accounting is also, the good news is that accounting is a high demand occupation as well. So depending on what you have done, if you already collected some designations, as an example, if you have the ACCA, there are mutual recognition agreements between CPA Canada and ACCA that allows you to quickly acquire your CPA designation in Canada. And I think that is the direction for success with accounting. Once you get your CPA with some years of experience, you know your accounts payable, receivable, and reporting, I think you will be good to go once your skills are solid. So what skills do you need for success? Good question. So financial reporting, profit and loss accounting, cash flow accounting. I think one of the areas where we see gaps for the accounting guys is really the technology. So not Peachtree, not Sage and AgPack, but things like QuickBooks, because we operate with a lot of some small businesses in Canada, and they're very quick bookie in recognition, outstanding Excel skills, pivot tables, VLOOKUPs. Those levels of Excel are usually very required. So Excel skills, accounts payable, receivable, reporting processes. Of course, a bit of the interpersonal is always essential to be able to achieve success in the workplace. I don't know, something like that.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. On a final note on the question and answer session, there's a question here that we do not want to leave unattended to, and that question is being posed to Mr. Kayode Adeuja. And the question is, in spite of the ongoing pandemic, what are your advices for members that want to start up their private personal businesses? We have talked so much about employment. Now we want to ask a question regarding entrepreneurship, taking a cue from Skip the Dishes.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very good question, and I would also like to say that regardless of whether you have a fantastic job right now, it's something everybody should be looking at in terms of having multiple streams of income. Things that you can do to secure your future, because one of the things that people do not know about Canada is that if you become an entrepreneur, there is a lot of savings that come through being an entrepreneur, particularly on taxes. A lot of people may not know, the higher you earn here, you can pay as much as 51% tax. So, but as an entrepreneur, you can actually, sort of manage your tax situation. Now, to your question about what do you do, despite the pandemic and all of that, there's so many things. Anything you want to do now, you must make sure that it has something to do with e-commerce. It has something to do with being on the internet. Now, one thing that a lot of people may not know right now is that the marketplace is actually online. The marketplace is online. If you go and check the social media platforms and find out how many people are on this platform, Facebook is leading right now, with over 2.7 billion users. Now, Facebook at the present time is one of the biggest marketplaces or marketplace you can find. And there's so many things. People are making loads of money on Facebook, but you have to find out how to join the party. There's so many online businesses going on right now, and I can assure you that people are making money, but you have to be ready to develop the skills to be able to do online business. Now, one of the businesses that is being done online right now, and one of the key things that you will see, and most of you that get onto YouTube, you will find people constantly putting themselves out there to advertise. Now, if you're that kind of person that you have such skills, there is room for you, because what you have to do is find the right product and the crowd is there. You just need to do the right thing and develop, online skills to be able to tap into the market. But post-COVID, things are going to change. Jobs are going to be threatened. Some jobs are going to disappear for sure, and if we all want to remain relevant, we need to develop certain skills for the future. And one of them is actually entrepreneurial skills. We need to be able to decide, how can we complement whatever it is we're doing now with other, sort of businesses. An online business is just an example. There's so many other things that can be done, but I can't say precisely. It depends also on what your passion, where your passion lies. Because another thing you can do is training. people are constantly training people online. I attended an online training recently, and there were about 70 people on that training. And it was for maybe the training was just about $200, but multiply that by 70 in one day, 70 people. It's a lot of money. So depending on what you want to do, and for HR practitioners, one of the shortfalls or one of the outcome of working from home and the negative things that will come with COVID is that there's a lot of people now with mental health situation. So as HR professionals, we need to understand how to support people going through mental health illness, and if you can develop this skill, you can use it on your own as a practitioner, can do things with it. So we need to understand that, and you can actually develop something out of that on your own. So there's so many opportunities out there, but it's a very good question. Entrepreneurship is very key for every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On that note, that's the last question, and we'll keep responding to the other questions as we go by as an association. Quickly, I would want to turn over to the Public Relations Officer, Mr. Rotimi Fadipe, to update us on, to give us the community updates. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and
yeah, muted.
We're sure it's a great meeting. At the last call, I think we're close to 90 on the platform, which is so exciting. I want to appreciate all the speakers. They did very great work. So just briefly, sharing things that have happened and will be happening, around us. We would like to be celebrating ourselves. And in this ride, we want to recall that one of us, Titi Tijani, was celebrated, as one of the 50 recipients of special honor, at the last 150th year anniversary of Manitoba, as a province. So we're glad and we're happy to be part of that great news. We also would like to encourage us as members. One of us, too, Shola Agbola, is seeking nomination for the Conservative Party of Canada. And if you are within the St. Boniface residence, please, for the sake of these our members, I want to encourage you to go register so you are able to vote. And the fee is just $5. I mean, you should be able to do that for ourselves. And we'd like to encourage you, believing that if he is able to, win that nomination, it's a beauty, it's a profit to our community. We also like to encourage some of us, the Canadian government and the RBC, there is a fund that is in place for Black entrepreneurs, especially for the female gender, for ages between 18 and 39. So up to 40, 60,000 you are able to access, and some of it will be for loan and grants. So we just want to share this opportunity and encourage us to go check. We'll be posting some of this into, our platform. You also will be seeing it. Again, we want to encourage us. I've seen close to 90 names on the platform. If you just want us to continue to be doing this great job, the annual due is just $100, just $100 for a whole year. And we have these lofty, great programs. And we promise you, whatever you have seen today will be the list that we'll be giving you in the days to come. So if you check our chat platform, you will see that the interact details npim@gmail.say. Yes, I've just been advised that the registration for the Conservative Party is $15. That is still very, very small. Please, let's support our colleagues, let's support our brother. let's ensure that he's able to win that nomination, and I'm sure the glory will be for our community at the end of the day. So we want to encourage us also, finally, that the diaspora nomination is on, for NIN. If you want to registration, diaspora registration for NIN, and you know that it's been a very serious thing, even in Nigeria, but we have an opportunity to do that here, just here, even in Manitoba. We're lucky that is in Manitoba. It's not in all the cities in Canada, really. So we have that opportunity. Please, let's encourage ourselves, and you can check it. Actually, if you want to go to the office, it's in Unit 104, 1200 Pembina Highway. So again, the payment interrupt for us is npim.mb@gmail.com. We have it on the chat, screen. So I want to, just hand over to the president to, take us through. I want to thank everybody also for being part of this, meeting. We encourage you, if there are issues that you would like us to also share with our members, please don't, hesitate in sharing with any of the executive members. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, PRO. Another big thank you to all our panelists for taking our time to make their presentations to us today. We really appreciate you. We also appreciate all members that joined us. Without taking much of our time, I'll be handing over to the president to provide us a call to action. And after his presentation, we'll take the national anthem. Thank you very much. President, over to you. You are muted. You are muted.
My bad. Okay, so thanks to all the presenters and panelists. Really appreciate it. I mean, we're blown away by all the presentations, all the information. As a matter of fact, I think because this is very critical information, we should be having quarterly briefings from our HR folks. I mean, it will do us a lot of good as a community of professionals. And to the person who also mentioned about businesses, I think it's something we're critically looking into that area as well. So I'll say we thank you for everyone, the community of professionals large in Manitoba in attendance, Nigerian professionals, the executives who have actually volunteered their time to work on building up this platform. This is a social infrastructure. That is how important and how critical what we're doing here is. I want to emphasize to us that community is our legacy in Africa, and it just so happens sometimes that we see people not taking it seriously. I mean, coming from Africa, honestly, it amazes me a lot sometimes. But all the same, we are here and we continue building. Okay, so I want to call upon all the professionals in attendance to support us in every way they can, financially, morally, and otherwise. We're open to donations, sponsorships, and you can also support with membership fees, which I think at $10, less than $10 per month, that is really very minimal. And well, on this note, I would like to end today's event with this quote from the world famous Nigerian literary giant, Chinua Achebe. A man who calls his kinsmen to a feast does not do so to redeem them from starving. They all have for their own houses. When we gather in the moonlight at village ground, it is not because of the moon. Every man can see it in his own compound. We come together because it is good for kinsmen to do so. Therefore, let us continue with the team spirit and enjoy the power of togetherness. Let's smile not because we don't have problems, but because we are stronger than the problems. Thank you for listening.